panelist session now, and the first speaker is Mr. Marco Piazza. He's a forestry officer of FAO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, a national forest monitoring and REDD team, over 15 years of experience with international organizations in the field of forestry and natural resource management on projects for international development. Core expertise in the area of forest and land use inventory and REDD. Also committed person towards promoting bamboo. I had more than 15 years of experience since the EU bamboo projects and UNIDO. So I call upon Mr. Marco to speak on the FAO's work on bamboo. Mr. Marco, please.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so distinguished guests and all participants, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. As Mr. Kamesh said, my name is Marco Piazza. I'm a forester working at FAO in the regional office in Asia Pacific for FAO, and I'm currently based in Thailand. My work area is primarily on forest monitoring and national forest inventory, but I have been a passionate and interest for bamboo for all my life. And at the beginning of my career, I was also more involved with bamboo. So I'm very, very glad to be here and grateful to being invited to this webinar. So in my presentation, I would like to share a few slides focusing mainly on 3 points. First one, some highlights on some recent work of FAO in the area of bamboo, and then a few reflections on the current situation of COVID-19 and its challenges and possibly also some opportunities. And finally, a look at into the future and some areas of bamboo-related work that are interesting for FAO. So the first work that I like to mention is the World Bamboo Resource Assessment, which was prepared back in 2005 by FAO and IMBAR, and I'm actually one of the author team. And so this study was mainly triggered by the realization that there is a lack of reliable statistics on bamboo resources and utilization. And so this is clearly an obstacle for the promotion and for the utilization of bamboo. The study was done by reaching out to country correspondents and seeking for the most updated information on bamboo. There was a total of 22 countries that replied, 16 only in Asia, as you can see. So this was a good opportunity to take stock of the information related to bamboo extent and utilization. This study, although it's from 2005, it remains as a valuable work and continues to be cited quite often as a reference in many scientific studies. And the reason is because there hasn't really been any such study afterward. Besides the statistics that are included in the report, one of the conclusions was that the statistics are often poor, fragmented, and based on different methodologies. So this leaves plenty of work to be done still in this area. Regarding statistics, as you know, FAO continuously collects and compiles forest information from member countries, and bamboo is also included. One issue with bamboo is that different countries often classify it in different ways, and sometimes we see bamboo listed as a forest, sometimes as a subclass of forest, sometimes in other land with tree cover, of course also as a non-timber forest products. But so as you can imagine, this does not help to integrate the statistics, and so this is also why it is difficult to obtain reliable figures of bamboo. Another source of data is through actually my very own area of work, which is support to national forest inventories, and we have supported several countries in the Asia Pacific region, and within our field measurements, we also measure bamboo. Bamboo is a key part of the methodology, and so in our field plots, we also measure, we take note of the species, the number of columns, average DBH, and So this is definitely another valuable source of information. So we are building a data set on this. The second work that I want to highlight is a report on bamboo for land restoration. This was presented by FAO at the Global Bamboo and Rattan Congress in 2018. This report includes recommendations and best practices from case studies where bamboo has been used for land restoration. You see some of the countries that showcase some of their experiences, including China, India, Nepal, and Thailand. This work is particularly important because there is now a very strong momentum on land restoration, very strong need and also very strong momentum. This is also channeled through the United Nations Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, which will start in 2021 and will go on for 10 years. And I will come back on this in a later slide. Another work that I wanted to present to you is also something that was done in Ethiopia, in Benishangul Gumuz regional state, which is the region with the highest presence of bamboo in Ethiopia. The objective of this study was to adapt FAO's guidelines on sustainable forest management to the Ethiopian context and find opportunities for bamboo in this framework. This work was done on existing and ongoing REDD+ readiness work. REDD+, REDD, is reduced emission from deforestation and forest degradation. It's a big mechanism that FAO is part of. So this document is intended to be as a support for decision makers, but it also has technical elements. And the aim is to support to develop sustainable forest management plans, including bamboo. So I thought this was also an interesting work. And if the slides will be shared, I pasted all the links to the actual documents. Lastly, to go back and closer to the field, there has been a series of Safe Plus projects in Bangladesh, in Cox's Bazar area. These have been particularly effective. As you know, the area is where there is a high concentration of refugee camps with an obvious stress on human conditions and also natural resources within the camp and outside of the camps. These projects were mainly emergency type projects, but also had a forestry component and also included bamboo. So some of the activities were focused on the rehabilitation of degraded lands within and outside the refugee camps, land stabilization and training on bamboo propagation techniques, and distribution of seedling and the planting of bamboo. So this is a rather concrete and emergency-driven type of project. Moving on the topic of our new world under the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, we all have been affected in one way or another, and many organizations, including FAO, are having many COVID-19 on the natural resources, and in particular on forest-dependent people. The impact is quite severe, and it's even stronger in rural communities. Here I just listed a few of the key impacts that we have recorded. First of all, short-term demographic changes. I also see here in Bangkok many people who were working in the city. Now they are have been forced to go back to their rural areas, to their families, and so this of course creates stress on the land, creates challenges for food and security, also due to supply chain options. You know, there has been restrictions of movement, restrictions of access to markets. So overall, there is a higher pressure on biodiversity and on the environment. People are being pushed into harvest wood from the forest reserves, areas that maybe before they were off limits. This is particularly important for indigenous communities. They often live in remote areas. There is difficulty of communications, difficulty of informations, and overall, one of the key problems is that in many cases, the attention has been diverted from the natural resource and human rights. In this type of emergency situation, the natural resources conflicts are increasing, and as a result, some of the government, some of the private sector, military groups are all taking advantage of COVID-19, and they tend to ignore the rights of poor people, of indigenous communities, as well as environmental laws, because now the stress is all on COVID-19, of course, rightly so. But this is the situation that we have been recording. Of course, in our thinking, and it's not just us, of course, many other organizations, many other people, there is also the drive to look at this situation from also a positive angle. The general feeling is that we could learn also from the current situation and think of new models, think of different ways of interacting with the natural resources. I'm glad also His Excellence Ambassador Mr. Tien was underlined this, the fact that there could be new ways of interacting with the natural resources. Of course, this topic is very complex, but one trend that is emerging is a renewed consideration for community forestry, agroforestry system, a push to design local solutions, local strategies, and the role of forest and farm producers, producer organizations. It's likely, and it's already likely to increase in terms of importance. So the question in this context, of course, is what is the role of bamboo? What role can have bamboo in this? I think that here we all agree that bamboo goes very well with the opportunities listed here, and that bamboo has already proven to be very important and very effective in this type of context. But it's on this very point that I'm very interested to hear also from you and from other experiences directly from the field. In terms of the way ahead, just briefly, I have witnessed a greater attention to bamboo from FAO, and I'm also myself doing my best to push this agenda. Here I listed some thematic areas that are emerging, either in collaboration directly with INBAR or with other projects at the regional or a country level. For sure, the global assessment, as I mentioned before, INBAR is already very active on this. Also exploring opportunities for bamboo as a renewable resource for climate change mitigation and sustainable development. And then I mentioned before the bamboo for land restoration. I think this is where the most potential is at the moment, and also where the biggest attention is at the global level. And then also one of the thousands of uses for bamboo, also for carbon sequestration. You know, there's a lot of attention on living carbon, living matters. You know, the value of standing trees, and bamboo can contribute a lot to this. So with this is my last slide. I thank you very much, and I look forward to hear any possible questions, and also to hear the other presentation from the other participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco.